Hello, it is Thursday, July 20th, 2023 at 8:24 a.m. Eastern Time, USA. I'm Mitch Miller. This is my video journal. I said I was going to let the previous video sit on this Apple computer for the next 8 or 9 days while I travel to Utica. I changed my mind. I think there's some important information that needs to get out. And why give Tim Cook that much power, right? So I want to talk about voice services in the United States and anywhere, voice services as a public utility, right? And why it's important. So some of you may know, others maybe are younger. In the United States, the telephone service was a public utility for many, many, many years. It was developed by M.A. Bell Company, Ma Bell Company, the Bell Telephone Company, and there were telephone lines going all throughout the United States that are still there, but we replaced it with fiber optic cable now. Those lines are still up in many cities, but Verizon has been taking them out of individual houses, the connection from individual houses, and that's a different argument altogether. The point is, it was a public utility, right? And now all of our voice services are privatized. Now this is dangerous. As I said before, people could be being isolated, like celebrities, right? Celebrities might want to contact me, but their agents, their studios, their cable provider, the companies they work for might be barring them from contacting me, which is why I know on the previous video I said I'd talk with writers or whoever, but I'm saying now I will only talk with recognized Hollywood celebrities in this field at Ken's Farm. It's a wellness check. I want to make sure that they're okay, that they can communicate with the outside world, that they're not isolated in some kind of communication bubble, right? And until these celebrities do check in with me, I'm going to put forward that theory that they are trapped in a bubble by their handlers, by their agents, by their studios, so on and so forth. So please come check in with me in Western Pennsylvania, or I can come to LA, but make contact and check in and make sure you can contact a random underground artist out here in the real world. Back to voice services as a public utility. Now I'm going to argue that this should still be the case. Now, there's a lot of money in the internet. I think the internet should be a public utility as well, but separate from that, voice services, right? You have voice-to-voice communication over a telephone. This should be a public utility, a public service. Again, you had to pay a bill, but it was a low-cost bill. It was as low as cost as a public utility could provide. And it laid a groundwork across the entire country, the entire continental United States, where I can pick up the phone and call someone in California if I have their number, right? And there were phone books with people's numbers listed, and you could pay to be unlisted, which means you don't appear in the phone book. You still have a phone number that can be called by any single person in the United States, but your number's unlisted. So we used to think if you pay for a telephone in your house, that's public information that should be published in books all throughout the country, right? And you have to pay extra to not have your information public. Now we have a situation where people can pay to block calls, right? Potentially they can block certain calls, or they could pay for their employees to have calls blocked from them, hypothetically, as per their communication contracts and their employment contracts. It's all about contracts in capitalist United States. Trust me, that's why I have very few contracts. Anyhow, this ground level, this base level idea that I can, if I have a person's phone number, I can call anybody in the United States. that pays for a phone in their house. It's essential. I believe it's essential to capitalism, right? It's an essential key factor to true capitalism, free market economy. Because if I have 300 bananas, right? I have a farmer friend that gave me 300 bananas. I can go through a phone book in this system before the internet and all these privatized data companies. I could go through a phone book, call 300 of my neighbors, and say, hey, I got a bunch of bananas. You want to buy one for 99 cents? And I can sell 300 bananas in a day and live as a capitalist, free market economy entrepreneur, right? But now we have a system that it might tag my phone number, like my home phone number. Oh, that home phone number made 100 calls in one day. We're going to limit what it can call and who it can call and where it can call, because it's probably a scammer, telemarketer, blah, 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 right? So now I can only sell 100 bananas a day. And if that, and maybe if I make 100 calls the next day, it'll limit me to 80, and then 30, and then 1 call a day, right? So that's the danger of not having a public utility for your voice services. You have algorithms and companies limiting how much information can be shared. And it's uncapitalistic. It's un-free market economy, right? It's anti-free market economy. Now, sure, there's complex scammers and computer systems that can be hooked up, but those could be identified by these companies, right? If they really wanted to, they could say, that's the device that's making 300 calls a day, compared to the guy literally sitting there going through a phone book and calling 300 calls. But they would rather just blanket that system, right? So that's why at least voice services should be a public utility, and it's also crucial for the disabled community to have a voice link to help to communicate and things like that. And a lot of these disabled people might be trapped in their houses because of these algorithms working to isolate different people in bubbles, right? So you have a disabled community out there that wants a public utility for voice. It's critical that they can get help, and you have done away with that and privatized everything. And it's truly insanity that we've shifted to this model of communication. There should at least be one base level voice system that I argue should be a wired system in this country, and it should be a public utility. And I've shown in the Femme Party novel how that could be accomplished city by city, and then region by region, so on and so forth. Now, what I do want to say is, some of these celebrities might have got caught in the trap of paying for a wiretap. Paid for a wiretap on somebody's house. Now you're playing the game, you're in the system, and you can't talk to that person because you spied on them, blah, 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 blah. I don't give a crap about any of that stuff. I fully give permission to any female celebrity to have access to this video journal, to have a wiretap on this computer into this video journal. I give full permission. You don't have to worry about keeping things from me when we're talking about how you had access to this stuff. I don't care. I mean, female celebrities have millions of hackers hacking the electronics all around them all the time because they're a celebrity. And that's the world we live in. So why would I care if they had access to this computer in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania? Now, I want to talk about my landline, Magic Jack landline in my basement of this house. I got this Magic Jack and set this landline up as soon as I could after getting out of the facility that I was incarcerated in 2017. I thought it's important to establish a landline in my house because I thought that people were monitoring or spying on my house. So I thought that the intelligence community would recognize this landline as the same type of system as the M.A. Bell telephone landline. I guess there's a difference between LAN and land, LAN and land line. The M.A. Bell public utility landline system. I thought this is as close as I can get to creating that, and that the intelligence community would recognize that, and if they wanted to tap my house, they would have to go through the courts and the warrant systems that we used to require back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s to tap a public utility voice landline system. So that's why I established that landline. And again, it speaks to why it should be a public utility, because then you have to go through the government to actually tap these phone lines, to get permission to tap these phone lines, right? And the government, you can say what you want about the government, but they ultimately want to protect the people. So that's why it should be a public utility. That's why I established a landline in my basement. I thought this is as close as, I still do have a wire from the old telephone lines coming into my house, but I couldn't get it to work. If there was a company that offered to hook these lines up, I would pay for it to have an actual public utility voice line in my house. But that's not available to me. Comcast and Verizon have done away with it in this market. Other companies have done away with it in other markets so that they can spy and isolate and put people in bubbles. So I put that to you, federal government. Can these celebrities contact me? Is there a way for them to contact me? Are they in a bubble? Are they isolated? Who's spying on them? Maybe they can. Maybe I'm just delusional and they have no desire to contact me whatsoever. And that's fine. I'm fine with that. I worry for them, though, with the data systems that we have in place. Let me just say that. And it goes even beyond that. They could be the perfect models for how you can isolate maybe female executives in New York City or other places or other countries, right? It's all an algorithm model that can be applied and automated to isolate certain people. So this great internet, this great connectivity of everyone can actually be a way of isolating people. And that was my theory back when I fled the country, that my social media was being isolated, that I wasn't being exposed to the public. And that's what these social media companies do, right? They don't connect people. They isolate them off and classify them as celebrity, as agent, as a whatever. And then they analyze them. They don't connect people, right? So that's what I want to talk about, a public utility for voice. It should be in place. It should have never gone away. We should have never let that critical infrastructure go by the wayside in the United States. And I hope it's a lesson for other countries. Please put forward a public utility for voice, at least for the disabled people, right? make a voice connection system. Now it's only available through internet, through fiber optic. If you have those existing landline systems, don't allow companies to do away with them. We might be able to hook them back up someday. It should be very easy to do, actually, with computer technology at the status it is. Anyhow, if you need to contact me, again, there aren't phone books anymore. I will be at my parents' house until the 29th of July. They have a landline, which I checked in with, from my landline multiple times from multiple locations. It's a viable landline. They've had the same number since I was very young. And I'm not going to give that number out on here in case this video journal ever is publicly published on YouTube or whatever. But you can search my parents' name. I believe it's under Ricky Meller. It might be under Rinda Meller. You should be able to find their landline. I hope you don't blast it if this does go public someday, so that they have to get rid of their actual phone number they've had for over 30 years. So thanks for watching. I'll be waiting in Utica. Join me next time when I do another video journal and talk about probably critical infrastructure or supercomputers or something like that. For now, I wish you peace, prosperity, and homeostasis.